The marketplace on Station Riven was alive with color, noise, and smells from 100 different worlds. Stalls overflowed with glowing fruits, strange crystals, and machines that hummed with quiet power. The air was thick with the sound of bargaining, high-pitched alien voices haggling over credits, deep rumbling laughs from merchants who thought they'd made a good deal. And then there was the laughter. It wasn't friendly. It wasn't warm. It was aimed at a group of humans walking through the market. A tall reptilian trader leaned over his stall, his long tail flicking with amusement. "Careful, little Deathworlders," he called out. "Gravity might be too heavy for your fragile bones." Another alien, round-bodied, with soft green skin and blinking yellow eyes, pointed and laughed. "Look at their soft skin. One scratch and they'll bleed all over the market." The humans kept walking, their boots clicking against the metal floor. They didn't answer. Most were simple cargo jackets, utility belts, and old boots scuffed. From work, they didn't seem angry, just quiet. But one human, taller than the rest, stopped. He turned his head slowly toward the reptilian trader. His eyes were calm, too calm. He didn't frown. He didn't speak. He just stared. For a heartbeat, the noise of the market seemed to fade. The reptilian's grin faltered. There was something in that human's gaze, something cold, like the stillness before a storm. Then someone laughed again, breaking the tension. "See? They can't even answer," shouted a thin alien with shiny blue skin. "They just stand there like stunned cattle." A piece of rotten fruit sailed through the air and hit the human's jacket, splattering against the dark fabric. The smell was sharp and sour. The human didn't move. He slowly brushed the pulp from his jacket, then looked at the alien who had thrown it. No anger, no words. Just that same stillness. One of the younger humans tugged at his sleeve. "Let's go," she said quietly. "It's not worth it." He nodded once and walked on, his eyes still locked on the alien until the crowd swallowed him from sight. Hours later, the market buzzed with stories. "They didn't even fight back," a green-skinned vendor said, laughing. "All bark, no bite." A group of merchants gathered in a corner tavern. The place was dim, lit by low red lamps. Drinks fizzed and steamed in their cups as they traded tales about humans. "I heard they come from some dangerous planet," said one. "Full of storms, predators, poisonous plants." Another snorted. "Dangerous? Look at them." I could knock one over with a single shove. A grizzled alien miner sitting alone in the corner took a slow sip from his mug. His skin was pale from years underground, and his voice was low when he spoke. "You laugh now," he said, "but one day you'll see what they're made of, and you won't like it." The table erupted with laughter. Old miner stories. One scoffed. "Next she'll tell us they can survive in vacuum." The miner didn't smile. He only looked back at them with tired eyes. "You think they're quiet because they're weak. That's your first mistake." Back in the sleeping quarters of the human section of the station, the tall soldier from the market sat on his bunk. His hands rested on his knees. He hadn't spoken much since the incident. A fellow human, a short, wiry engineer, leaned in the doorway. "You could have said something, you know. Or done something." The soldier shook his head. "Not yet." The engineer frowned. "Not yet? What does that mean?" "It means," the soldier said quietly, "that there's a line. They haven't crossed it. Yet." The room went silent. The hum of the station's engines filled the space like a distant heartbeat. The next day, the marketplace was just as busy. The same aliens were there, laughing even louder when the humans passed by. "Look at their slow steps," one taunted. "Maybe the gravity is crushing them." Another pointed to a human carrying a heavy crate. "Careful. That might be too much for your delicate little muscles." The soldier didn't look at them this time. He just kept walking. But those who were close enough to see his face noticed his jaw tighten ever so slightly. Behind him, One of the younger aliens whispered to another, "Why don't they fight back?" "Because they can't," the other said with a smirk. Later, in the upper walkways above the market, two alien traders were loading supplies. One glanced down to see the tall human soldier moving through the crowd again. Something about his steady, unhurried walk made the alien uneasy. "Strange," he muttered. "What is?" His partner asked. "He never looks angry, but it's like he's waiting for something." "Waiting for what?" The trader didn't answer. He didn't know. But the image of those calm eyes stayed with him long after the human disappeared from sight. That night, in the tavern, the old miner spoke again to anyone who listened. "You think they're slow," he said. "But you're wrong. They're patient. That's different." A young alien laughed. "Patience? For what?" The miner leaned forward, his voice barely above a whisper. "For the moment they decide they've had enough." For the first time that night, no one laughed by. The third day, the mockery had become a kind of game for the aliens. Every time a human passed, they tried to outdo each other with new insults. Rotten fruit was thrown more often. One alien even shoved the human shoulder hard enough to make him stumble. The soldier saw it happen from across the market. He didn't move right away. He just stood, watching, his hands loose at his sides. The shove turned into a second, harder push. The human being targeted didn't push back. He just picked up the bag he'd dropped and walked on. The soldier finally began to move, cutting through the crowd until he stood in front of the group of mocking aliens. The noise around them seemed to dim. "You have no idea what you're doing," he said softly. The nearest alien smirked. "And what will you do about it, Fragile?" The soldier's eyes didn't blink. "You'll find out." He turned and walked away, leaving them in uneasy silence. For the first time, their laughter didn't follow him. The station's market was quieter than usual. The usual high-pitched bargaining and bursts of laughter were there, but beneath it all was something else, an undercurrent of hushed voices and nervous glances. The mockery toward the humans had not stopped completely, but it was different now. Some still laughed loudly when they passed, but others turned away, pretending to be busy. Something about the tall human soldier's warning, "You'll find out," had stuck in their minds. In the dim corner of a food stall, two alien merchants whispered over bowls of steaming broth. "You heard what happened yesterday?" One asked, his small eyes darting toward the crowd. The other slurped noisily before answering. "I heard they just walked away." Again, soft-skinned cowards. "No." The first leaned in, lowering his voice. "I heard they've been watching. Not just walking through the market, watching us. Mapping who laughs, who throws things." The second snorted. "That's paranoia." But his hand tightened around the bowl. That night, the station's tavern glowed faintly red from its low lamps. The air was heavy with smoke and the bitter smell of fermented root drink. A group of aliens sat around a table, voices low. A young avian trader tapped his claw nervously on the wood. "The old miner says they're dangerous." Across the table, a scaled reptilian rolled his eyes. "The old miner says everything is dangerous." The avian leaned forward. "No, he says humans don't fight back at first because they don't have to. He says they've survived worse than this station could ever throw at them." The reptilian laughed, but it sounded forced. "Worse? Like what?" From the corner, the miner's gravelly voice cut in. "Like predators that hunt in packs, like storms that tear down cities in a single night, like disease that kills millions before the year ends." The table went silent. The miner set his mug down slowly. "They're from a death world. Do you even understand what that means? It means everything on their planet tries to kill them. And still, they thrived. Do you really think your insults will break them?" No one spoke. The only sound was the hum of the station's life support systems. In the human quarters, the tall soldier sat with a group of his own people. The young woman from before, the one who had pulled him away in the market, spoke first. They're getting bolder, throwing things more often, pushing us. A bearded man frowned. If this keeps up, someone's going to get hurt. The soldier was silent for a long time before he finally spoke. They think we're weak because we don't respond. The woman nodded. We could prove them wrong. His eyes stayed on the floor. Not yet. Back in the market, the tension thickened. A group of alien youths, emboldened by drink, spotted a human repair crew walking through the main aisle. "Hey, Deathworld pets," one shouted. "Lose your cages?" Another tossed a fruit core, hitting a human on the shoulder. The humans didn't. "Stop." A third youth grinned, pulling a piece of wire from his pocket. "Let's see if they squeal when they're shocked." Before he could move closer, a hand gripped his wrist. Strong, unyielding dot. It wasn't a human hand. It was the old miner. "You're playing with fire, boy," the miner said, voice like gravel. "You think you're the hunter, but you're not." The youth pulled away, muttering under his breath, but the grin had faded. Later that evening, two maintenance workers, both aliens, were fixing a faulty light in one of the side corridors of the station. The corridor was quiet, shadows stretching long under the flickering light. One of them whispered, "Did you hear about the docking bay last night?" The other tightened a bolt. "No, what happened?" "Two traders went down there after curfew. Said they saw humans moving crates in complete silence. No talking, no lights. Just shadows moving. Maybe they were just working," the other said. But his voice lacked confidence. The first shook his head. "That's what scares me. They weren't working. They were preparing." The whispers grew over the next few days. I heard a human once fought off a pack of wild animals with nothing but a knife. They say they can go days without sleep if they have to. I heard they can smell fear. Most dismissed the stories, but the words stuck. Even those who laughed still found themselves glancing over their shoulders when a human walked by. One evening, in the market square, the tall human soldier stopped in the middle of the crowd. He looked around slowly, his gaze passing over faces. Some hostile, some uneasy. A reptilian merchant called out, trying to sound brave. "Still quiet, human, or have you come to bark at us?" The soldier didn't answer. He stepped closer, stopping just an arm's length away. "You've had your fun," he said in a low, even tone. "But it's almost over." The reptilian tried to laugh, but it came out shaky. Big words for the human's eyes narrowed. "You'll see." Then he turned and walked away, leaving the merchant staring after him, his throat dry. That night, in the tavern, the old miner sat alone. The reptilian merchant entered, looking pale. He walked over. "What does it mean?" the merchant asked. "When a human says it's almost over." The miner didn't look up from his drink. "It means you've run out of time." The merchant swallowed hard. "Time for what?" The miner finally looked at him. "For mercy." The day started like any other on Station Riven. The market stalls were open. The smell of alien spices hung in the air, and the sound of bargaining echoed through the metal corridors. But under the noise, there was tension. The whispers about humans had not stopped. They had only grown sharper. The tall human soldier walked with two others through the main market, carrying supplies back to their quarters. The crowd parted just enough for them to pass, but the stares followed. Some were curious, others mocking Dot near a food stand. A group of alien youths spotted them. Their eyes lit up with the same cruel amusement they had shown for days. "There they are," one of them said loudly. "The fragile Deathworld pets." His friend laughed. "Careful, don't get too close. They might cry." The humans ignored them and kept walking. But one youth stepped into their path, blocking the way. He was tall for his species, with thin, sharp limbs and eyes that glowed faint yellow. "What's in the bags?" he demanded. "Carrying something too heavy for your weak arms?" The soldier didn't answer. He shifted the bag on his shoulder and moved a step around. The youth placed a hand on his chest and shoved, hard. The soldier didn't stumble. He just looked at the hand, then at the alien's face. One of the other humans muttered, "Let's keep moving." But another alien from the group stepped forward, smirking. In his hand was a small fruit, bright red, sticky inside. He tossed it at the soldier's chest. Juice splattered across the dark jacket. "Oops," the alien said, pretending to look surprised. "Clumsy me." The soldier brushed the juice away without a word. The alien youth grinned wider. "Not going to say anything? Or maybe you're too scared." The soldier's voice was calm, but it cut through the air like a blade. "You don't want to do this." "Oh, I do," the youth sneered. In fact, he turned suddenly and grabbed the smallest human in the group, a boy barely old enough to be on the station. The alien yanked him forward, making him drop his bag. "Hey!" the boy cried, struggling. The market went quiet. The soldier's eyes locked on the youth's hands. "Let him go," he said. The alien laughed. "Or what? You'll hit me? You'll fight?" The soldier didn't move, but there was a weight in his voice now. "I won't have to fight. You'll wish I had." For a moment, the alien hesitated. The crowd was watching. He tightened his grip on the boy's jacket. "You think you scare me?" The soldier took one slow step forward. His eyes never left the alien's. "This is your last chance." Something in his tone made the youth falter. He shoved the boy toward the ground and stepped back. "Fine, take your little pet." The boy scrambled to his feet and hurried to the soldier's side. The soldier placed a steady hand on his shoulder. The alien smirked again, but it was weaker now. "See you tomorrow, fragile." The soldier's reply was quiet, almost too quiet to hear. "No, you won't." Later that night, in the human quarters, the small boy sat with the others, still shaken. The soldier stood near the door, his arms crossed. "We're done," he said. The bearded engineer frowned. "Done with what?" "Patience," the soldier answered. "They crossed the line." The woman from before looked at him carefully. "What are you thinking?" He didn't answer directly. "We've been quiet. They think that means we can't act. Tomorrow we'll remind them where we come from." While the humans spoke in their quarters, the alien youths were in a different part of the station, laughing about the day. "Did you see his face?" One said. "He wanted to hit me so bad that he didn't dare." The leader of the group leaned back in his seat. "They're all the same, weak, soft. They hide behind their polite words because they know they'd lose." One of them shifted uncomfortably. "I don't know." He didn't look scared. The leader waved him off. "You worry too much. Tomorrow we'll show everyone they're nothing but a joke." Morning came and the market opened as usual. But there was a strange energy in the air. Humans moved in pairs, not alone. They spoke less than usual, their faces unreadable. The tall soldier entered the market with a small group behind him. They didn't go to buy or sell. They just walked. The alien youths spotted them instantly. The leader grinned and stepped forward. "Back so soon? Did you miss us?" The soldier stopped, standing a few feet away. "This ends now," the leader laughed. "You think you can tell us what to do?" The soldier didn't answer. Instead, the humans behind him moved. Quietly but with precision. Two stepped to block the market exits. Another walked along the side, past stalls, scanning the crowd. The alien leader frowned. "What is this?" The soldier's voice was calm. "We gave you every chance," the crowd murmured. Some merchants began packing their goods quickly, sensing something was wrong. The soldier took a step closer. "On Earth," he said, "we have a rule. You can push us, you can test us, but you never touch the young." The alien leader's smirk faded. "And if we do?" The soldier's expression didn't change. "Then we stop being nice." Before the leader could reply, one of the humans stepped forward and pulled a small device from his belt, a scanning tool used for repairs. He turned it on, and a sharp sound filled the air. The crowd winced. The soldier's voice carried over the noise. You've mistaken silence for weakness. That's your mistake. Today, you learn the difference. The humans didn't raise weapons. They didn't shout. But their eyes said everything. The alien leader stepped back, suddenly unsure. This isn't over, he muttered. The soldier's reply was almost a whisper. It is for you. That evening, the market was quieter than it had been in weeks. The alien youths didn't return. The whispers in the tavern shifted. I heard the humans didn't even have to fight. They just made them leave. It's like they were never afraid of us at all. In the corner, the old miner nodded to himself. The breaking point, he murmured, took longer than I expected. This part ends with the first real shift, from mockery to fear, but without a full fight yet. So the tension keeps building for the next chapter. The station was quieter now. The laughter that once followed humans through the market had thinned, replaced by sidelong glances and quick whispers. The alien youths hadn't returned since the confrontation, but their absence didn't erase the tension. It only deepened it. In the human quarters, the tall soldier sat at a metal table with 3 others. A dim light above cast long shadows across the room. They're backing off, the bearded engineer said. At least for now. The soldier didn't look convinced. Fear fades. They'll test us again. They always do. The young woman, sitting across from him, leaned forward. Then maybe it's time they understood why they shouldn't. Her words hung in the air. Everyone knew what she meant. Stories, memories, the truth about Earth. Later that night, in the station's maintenance bay, the soldier found himself speaking to the old miner. The alien was sitting on a crate, sipping from a battered metal flask. You were right, the soldier said, about patience. The miner smirked without looking up. I've seen your kind before. I know what happens when patience runs out. The soldier studied him. You've been to Earth? The miner shook his head. No, I've just heard the stories. But I'd rather hear them from someone who's seen it. The soldier's gaze drifted to the floor. You want to know? Fine, but don't expect to sleep well tonight. He began slowly, as if choosing which memories were safe to share. On Earth, he said, danger isn't the visitor, it's the landlord. The air itself can turn on you. Storms so strong they rip apart cities. We call them hurricanes, cyclones, typhoons. Names change, but the destruction is the same. The miner listened silently as the soldier's voice grew darker. Once, I stood on a coast when the sky turned black. The ocean pulled back like it was breathing in. Then it came, a wall of water taller than any building you've seen. It swallowed everything. People ran, but the water was faster. That was just nature doing what it does. He paused, eyes distant. And that's only the weather. The soldier leaned forward, his voice low. Earth has predators, real ones. We're not talking pests or scavengers. I mean creatures that stalk you for hours, waiting until you're tired. Then move in. Claws, teeth, poison. They don't stop until you're dead. The miner's grip tightened on his flask. And then, the soldier continued. There's us, humans. We've been killing each other longer than most planets have had life. Wars that lasted decades. Weapons that could burn the sky or poison. The ground we fought over: land, food, water. And sometimes over nothing at all. We adapt, we endure. And when we decide someone is a threat, we don't rest until it's over. The room felt colder. The soldier's voice carried no pride, only truth. The next day, the soldier's words spread, not from him, but from the miner. In the market, 2 merchants whispered as they arranged their goods. He says they've seen storms that can swallow whole cities. I heard they fight animals that can tear a man apart in seconds. And they survived all of it. Nearby, a young alien trader scoffed. Stories to scare children. But his partner shook his head. Maybe, but I've seen the way they move, like they're always ready for something. That evening, in the human quarters, the small boy who had been grabbed in the market sat with the soldier. "Is it true?" the boy asked quietly. "All those things you said to the miner?" The soldier nodded. "It's true, and more." The boy hesitated. "Why tell them? Won't it just make them more afraid?" "That's the point," the soldier said. "Fear can keep a knife in its sheath. Respect takes longer to earn." In the tavern, the alien youths who had once mocked the humans sat in a corner, speaking in low voices. "You heard what they've survived?" one asked. Another scoffed, but his eyes darted toward the door. "Just stories." "Then why aren't you in the market throwing fruit anymore?" The scoffer didn't answer. The next morning, a strange thing happened. When the humans walked through the market, some stalls went silent. Others quickly finished transactions and turned away. But one alien, an older merchant with silver markings on his head, stepped forward and bowed slightly. The tall soldier stopped. "Why?" he asked. The merchant's voice was steady. "Because I have lived through storms too, and I recognize survivors." For a long moment, they looked at each other. Then the soldier nodded once and moved on. But the whispers didn't fade. If anything, they grew sharper. "They're dangerous. They've seen things that would break us. They can't be provoked." And yet, a few still wondered. What would happen if they pushed too far? That night, in the dim human quarters, the young woman spoke again. "They're learning, slowly, but some will test us again." The soldier looked at her, his expression unreadable. "Then we'll remind them." The station hummed with its usual noise, but something had changed beneath the surface. The air felt heavier, charged with a quiet tension that no one could ignore. The market stalls, once filled with laughter and loud bargaining, were now shadowed by an uneasy silence whenever humans walked nearby. The tall human soldier moved with calm purpose through the crowded corridors, flanked by a small group of his people. Their steps were steady and measured. They spoke little, but the look in their eyes was sharp, alert. Nearby, a pair of alien traders watched from the shadows. The smaller one whispered, "Look at them, moving like hunters." The taller trader nodded slowly. "They're different now, no more games." In the market, a group of alien youths gathered, expecting the usual chance to mock the humans. One of them stepped forward, trying to catch the soldier's attention. "Back again? What are you doing here scaring the little ones?" The soldier stopped and looked at the youth directly. His voice was low and steady. "We gave you every chance." The youth sneered. "You think you can tell us what to do?" Without a word, the humans began to move smooth and precise. Two blocked the exits of the market, leaving no easy way out. Another moved silently among the stalls, scanning the crowd with sharp eyes. The market noise dimmed as merchants and customers sensed the shift. "What is this?" the taller trader asked, stepping forward. The soldier met his gaze. "We are not here to bargain. We are here to make sure you understand. This ends now." "Ah." Murmur passed through the crowd. Some began to pack up quickly, while others simply stepped back, fear creeping into their eyes. The youth who had spoken first laughed nervously. "You don't scare us." The soldier's voice dropped to a whisper, but it carried through the tense air. "You've mistaken silence for weakness. That's your mistake." Suddenly, a soft hum filled the space as one human activated a small device from his belt. The sharp sound pierced the air, making many wince. "We do not fight without cause," the soldier said. "But when pushed too far, we act without mercy." The alien youths looked at one another, their bravado faltering. The market had changed in a way none had expected. Later, in the quiet corners of the station, whispers spread like wildfire. "They didn't even raise a weapon," one merchant said in disbelief. "They moved like shadows, blocking the exits." Another added, "They were calm. Too calm, like they were always ready." The old miner, sitting alone in his usual spot, nodded quietly to himself. They're showing us what patience truly means. The tension in the station had shifted. From loud mockery to silent warning, the Deathworlders had made their move. And everyone knew the story was far from over. The station was quiet in the early morning light. Most of the alien merchants had left their stalls empty, avoiding the usual crowds that gathered to watch the humans. The tension was thick, like a storm waiting to break. The tall human soldier stood near the center of the market, his eyes scanning every face. Behind him, a small group of humans moved slowly, their faces calm but serious. No one spoke, but their presence was enough to make the usual chatter fall silent. A reptilian trader stepped forward, trying to break the silence. "You block our paths, disrupt our trade. What is this? A threat?" The soldier's voice was low but firm. "You have tested our patience too long. Now you work for your actions." The trader's sharp eyes narrowed. "And how do you plan to make us pay?" Without warning, several humans moved quickly to surround a group of troublemakers who had been mocking and harassing human workers. Just days before, the captives had no chance to react. The soldier spoke calmly. "You will repair the damage you caused. You will work under our watch until we say otherwise." One alien tried to resist. "You cannot make us." Another human raised a hand, and the alien's voice died. The soldier's gaze did not waver. "You will learn respect." Word spread quickly. Aliens who once laughed now whispered in fear. The human group was not here to fight with guns or weapons. Instead, they used control, order, and quiet strength. In the evenings, the old miner watched from his usual corner. A young alien approached him hesitantly. "They don't kill. They only make us work." The miner nodded slowly. "Sometimes that is worse." A merchant in the market added quietly to a friend. "They show power without violence. That's a message we cannot ignore." The station was changing. The humans, once mocked as fragile, were proving that strength was not just in weapons, but in patience and control. No one knew what would come next. But one thing was clear. The balance of power had shifted, and the laughter had turned to silence. The market's usual buzz was replaced by cautious whispers. Merchants glanced nervously as the humans moved steadily through the stalls, their presence commanding respect without a word. The tall soldier led them, his eyes sharp, always watching. Near a food stand, a young alien merchant muttered, "They don't need to shout or fight, but everyone listens to them now." His companion nodded. "It's like they carry the weight of their world with them, silent but deadly." Suddenly, a shrill scream pierced the air. From the shadows, a human worker grabbed by a group of rowdy aliens struggled to break free. The soldier saw it immediately and moved fast. "Let him go," the soldier ordered, his voice calm but strong. The aliens hesitated. One step forward, sneering. "Or what? You'll make us?" Without warning, the humans closed in, blocking all exits. The trapped workers' captors found themselves surrounded, their confidence melting into fear. "You've been warned," the soldier said. "Respect is not optional here." The aliens backed down, releasing the worker. The crowd watched in stunned silence. Later, in the quiet of the tavern, the old miner spoke softly. "They don't just fight with weapons. They fight with patience, control, and a will that won't break." A young alien leaned in. "How do you fight that?" The miner smiled sadly. "You don't. You survive it." The station had changed. What once was mockery had become respect, edged with fear. The humans, the Deathworlders, had claimed their place, not with violence, but with steady, unyielding strength. The story was far from over, but the lesson was clear. Underestimate them, and you lose more than pride, you lose everything. The station's cold metal corridors echoed softly with distant footsteps. Night had fallen, but the tension that filled the air was heavier than ever. The humans moved quietly through the dim light, their presence steady and unyielding. No laughter, Followed them now only silence, sharp and watchful dot in a shadowed corner of the market. A group of alien traders whispered nervously. "They've changed," one said. "No more mockery, no more games." Another nodded. "It's like they carry storms inside them. Calm, but ready to break." The tall soldier stood apart, his eyes scanning every face. He sensed the shift. 2. The aliens' fear was growing, but so was their own resolve. This was no longer about survival, it was about sending a clear message. Suddenly, a shout erupted from the far end of the market. An alien youth, drunk and careless, pushed a human worker hard against a stall. The soldier's head snapped toward the commotion. Without hesitation, he moved forward, calm and steady. "Enough," he said, his voice low but firm. The youth sneered. "Or what? You'll make me stop?" The soldier didn't flinch. Yes, 2 other humans stepped around him, blocking the youth's escape. The crowd held its breath. The youth's bravado faltered. He looked at the faces surrounding him, faces hardened by harsh worlds and quiet strength. "Let him go," the soldier said again. The youth hesitated, then stepped back, muttering curses under his breath. The worker straightened, nodding quietly. To the soldier before returning to his task, the market slowly returned to its uneasy rhythm. But the lesson was clear. Later, in the quiet hum of the station's tavern, the old miner spoke softly to a group of aliens. "You think they need guns to be dangerous," he said. "But their power is patience, control, and the will to endure what others cannot." A young alien shivered. "How do we fight that?" The miner shook his head. "You don't. You respect it." Outside, the station's lights flickered, shadows stretching long and deep. The humans had claimed their place, not with noise or violence, but with steady, unbreakable strength. And anyone who forgot that would soon learn the true cost of underestimating Deathworlders.